Hello, it's David Allen and you are watching Sporting Icons.
Now, ever since Anthony Joshua fought Dillian Whyte and got rocked in round number 2, there's been a lot of talk about Anthony Joshua and his chin. There's so many of his haters say Anthony Joshua is a chinless warrior, chinless robot, all this kind of thing, okay? And is it justified? Well, we're going to have a look in a minute. And of course, I want to compare it to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder as well as. So a lot of this is for your information. Some of you guys may not know about any of this, okay? So it's all for information. Now, this isn't to say who's got the better chin, not at all, okay? This is just purely me telling you what it is that is factual against fiction, okay? So a lot of people say Anthony Joshua is chinny. Why? Because of sparring stories as well as where allegedly Joe Joyce dropped him, Lawrence Coley dropped him, Daniel Dubois dropped him, and David Price, and so on, so on, and so and so, okay? As it turned out, a lot of that was Anthony Joshua telling these fighters to put it out there in the news that he got dropped. Why? Because he wanted people to have confidence to get in the ring with him. Or at least that's his version of events anyway. He says that the only person who legitimately did hurt him and drop him in sparring was David Price on the day where he got released in the morning from an overnight stay in jail, okay? Now, regardless of all that, sparring stories are sparring stories. Virtually every fighter gets hurt, gets dropped in sparring. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder are no exception. Deontay Wilder, apparently he got knocked out clean on 2 occasions by Vladimir Klitschko. He had to take a knee from a body shot from Klitschko as well as. Dillian Whyte, of course, he said here on his channel that he's seen with his own eyes right in front of him, Deontay Wilder getting dropped in sparring. David Haye, of course, has allegedly done all this as well. Tyson Fury, he's been dropped on multiple occasions by Dillian Whyte in sparring, plus many others. But sparring is sparring. That's where you're supposed to get dropped, right? Behind the scenes. What you don't do is, hopefully, it doesn't happen on the night. So sparring is sparring. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look on this as 10-8 rounds. Why do I say 10-8 rounds? For those who don't know, a 10-8 round is where you get dropped in a fight, okay? And to get dropped, it's not one of those where you have to be put on your back or anything like that. A 10-8 round could be that you get hit, you stumble, your glove just grazes the floor. Any part of your body touches the floor outside of your boots, that is classed as a knockdown. Therefore, it's a 10-8 round in your negative. Listen, there are some exceptions, we know, where you could be absolutely dominating that round and one punch drops you to the floor, you get back up. Now, again, that's down to the judge's discretion. They could score it a 10-9 round, but usually they don't. It's usually a 10-8 round, okay? Another way of doing it would be point deduction. Okay, so point deduction, but which we're not going to do on this one, okay? And for point deduction, you could be losing the round anyway, and then hit the opponent on the back of the head, all that kind of thing. And if we were to do that, Tyson Fury will be rock bottom. If you just look at his record, for those who don't know, he's had so many points deducted over his fights. It's unbelievable. He really has. But we're not going to include any of that, okay? And again, I don't always know, has Deontay Wilder had points deducted? Again, without looking real deep into his record, I don't know. But we're not going to include points deducted for a 10-8 round. Likewise, but we are going to include the 10-8 round where your opponent will beat the living hell out of you to the point where all 3 judges score a 10-8 round, which is the equivalent of being dropped. Which is why I always say, if your opponent is teeing off on you and you can't escape, why keep on taking the punishment? Take a knee, get those valuable seconds, because it's going to be a 10-8 round anyway. So you may as well just take a damn knee, right? But fighters don't, they just kind of like go through the middle of it and end up taking the 10-8 round anyway. Now, I'm only going to do this if all 3 judges officially scored it a 10-8 round. Okay, so if 2 of them did and 1 of them didn't, then we're not going to include that because officially it's not a 10-8 round, right? Of sorts. So, with that in mind, let's look at the 3 fighters: Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. As I said, this is not about who's got the best chin or who has the worst chin. Not at all. So let's start off with Anthony Joshua. How many 10-8 rounds has he had in his 22 fights? Now, straight off the bat, whether you like Joshua or whether you don't, you have to admit his body of work is spectacular. Okay, considering he's only had 22 fights, at this level really, at 22 fights, he should really only just be defending his European title, potentially thinking about becoming a world champion at this stage. But either way, he's a unified world champion, and his resume is pretty stellar. It really is, and you have to be a real hater to say that he's got a terrible resume. You really would, right? Anyway, that aside, so out of his 22 fights, he's only ever had one 10-8 round against him. That was against Vladimir Klitschko, round number 6. Vladimir Klitschko's signature knockout punch. Bear in mind that Vladimir Klitschko's had over 50 knockouts, so he carries some serious power. He really does. A straight right, straight down the pipe, hits him right on the forehead, come temple. Joshua goes down. It's a bit of a funny knockdown, I ain't gonna lie. And of course, as he goes down, he gets on his hands and knees, and he's smiling and sticking his tongue out. Okay, which I know a lot of people look at that and go, hang on a minute, was that a fake knockdown? No, it wasn't. Okay, it was a legitimate knockdown. Okay, so Anthony Joshua's had one 10-8 round. Again, it's arguable, and again I have seen this, that a lot of people say it should have been a 10-8 round in round number 2 against Dillian Whyte, where Dillian Whyte caught him, and Anthony Joshua's feet turned to concrete. He had smoke coming out of his ears, all that kind of thing. But the judges didn't officially score it a 10-8 round, so therefore it's not a 10-8 round. But, you know, I do get why some people may say that. But that aside, officially only one time against Vladimir Klitschko, a 10-8 round. So that's Anthony Joshua. Let's move on to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, listen, if we was to do this on 10-8 rounds due to point deduction, as I said earlier, he would have so many. You wouldn't believe how many point deductions that Tyson Fury's had. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so we're not going to include them. It's purely about, has he been dropped to the canvas, or has an opponent beat him up so bad he's had a 10-8 round against him. Well, Tyson Fury has had, and again, this may surprise some people who don't know, he's had 4 rounds where he's had 10-8 rounds against him. And all 4 of those were he legitimately hit the canvas. Okay? First one was against Nevin Pajek, and round number 2, Pajek hits him with a big right, and Tyson Fury goes down. Okay? He gets back up, no issues, okay? And he goes on to win the fight anyway. So that's the first one. The second one, Steve Cunningham. Again, this was Tyson Fury going to America. A flash knockdown in some ways, I suppose, but still a very good punch from Steve Cunningham. Listen, he was former cruiserweight as well as. But either way, Tyson Fury got careless. He got caught. He went down straight on his back. Okay? Again, he gets up. No problem. He goes on and wins the fight by stoppage. So that's 2 for Tyson Fury. Where the other 2 come from? 2 times against Deontay Wilder. Okay, round number 9, round number 12. So Tyson Fury's had 4, Joshua's had 1, and Tyson Fury's only had 6 fights more. And listen, 2 of those opponents who gave him 10-8 rounds are far less than a Vladimir Klitschko, right? Anyway, so, but again, this doesn't mean that Tyson Fury's got a weak chin, just that sometimes he just gets caught, he gets careless, and he gets caught. It's just what happens. Okay, so let's move on to Deontay Wilder. And again, I'm surprised how many Deontay Wilder fans don't know these facts, okay? But listen, again, this isn't to have a go at him or to praise him or anything like that. This is purely for your information. Because as we know, a lot of Tyson Fury fans and a lot of Deontay Wilder fans are the ones who's calling Anthony Joshua chinless, okay? And he'll be knocked out, he's a stiff robot, all this kind of thing. Now, with Deontay Wilder, officially, on the records, he's had 2 10-8 rounds, okay? The first one was against Harold Sconier's round number 2. He gets hit on the side of the head, and he goes down, and he's sat on the bottom rope, okay? So he gets dropped, the referee counts to 10, he gets up, he survives the rest of the round. He then goes on and wins the fight by 4th round knockout, okay? So that's the first time that Deontay Wilder got legitimately knocked down. And that was in his 13th fight, for those who want to know. But again, we could probably argue, but listen, it's a pointless argument, really. The fight before, in his 12th fight against Dustin Nichols, who that man was large. Even like Butterbean would go, damn boy, you large, you huge. Okay, but Dustin Nichols did drop Deontay Wilder. See, other parts of his body hit the floor outside of his boots, which is what I said earlier on, okay? But the referee didn't class it as a knockdown, but if you look back at it, it was a legitimate knockdown. But officially, we can't put that against him because he didn't officially get a 10-8 round. Not that it would have mattered anyway, even had the referee have caught it, because in the very same round, Deontay Wilder managed to parry back and stop Dustin Nichols on the ropes. Okay, so he ends up winning that round and that fight anyway. Okay, but as I said, it's a debatable one. Okay, but officially, no, Deontay Wilder cannot have a 10-8 round against him for that one. And against Luis Ortiz, round number 7, he gets beaten up so bad that all three judges, all three of them, give it a 10-8 round in favour of Luis Ortiz because he's out on his feet. And this goes back to what I'll say, that when this kind of situation happens, the smart and the sensible thing to do would have been for Wilder to take a knee, okay? Because it could have been so much worse for him, okay? Had he have took a knee, he'd have bought a few more seconds and he would have survived the round anyway, okay? Because it was that close towards the end of round number 7. But he didn't do that, and yes, okay, he showed great warrior spirit. Let's give him that, of course, we have to, okay? But the sensible thing would have been to take a knee, but he didn't. But either way, all three judges gave it a 10-8 round against Deontay Wilder. So Deontay Wilder's had 2 official 10-8 rounds. Again, we could be real facetious here and say, listen, against Eric Molina, okay, when he got rocked badly and beaten up, I forget what round it was. Was it round number 3 or something? I forgot now. It was only 2 of the judges gave it a 10-8 round in favour of Eric Molina when Deontay Wilder got wobbled and, you know, he was on wobbly legs, all that kind of thing. But one other judge didn't. It was a 10-9 round to Eric Molina. But officially, we can't do that one. Although I might be wrong about the 2 judges, actually. I might be wrong. Either way, officially, it wasn't. So officially, Deontay Wilder's only had 2 10-8 rounds against him. One against Harold Skoniez, the other one against Luis Ortiz. Harold Skoniez was a journeyman at this point. He had 17 wins and 20 losses. But this is what I said. Sometimes these things happen against fighters you just don't expect. You just don't expect it whatsoever. But listen, things happen. It's heavyweight boxing. So this goes to show that those who say Anthony Joshua has no chin, listen, he's been punched hard on several occasions and he didn't go down. He got hurt. Of course he got hurt. You get punched in the face and see if it hurts or not. You get punched square on the nose, headbutted on the nose. You're going to take a backward step. Of course you are. Every fighter does, but people just want to be picky. So, the answer to your question is Anthony Joshua chinny, no more than any other heavyweight. So Tyson Fury fans, remember, Tyson Fury's only had 6 fights more, but has had 4 10-8 rounds against him. Okay, Deontay Wilder's had 2 10-8 rounds against him. Well, granted, he's had 41 fights, but again, look who against. Okay, whereas Anthony Joshua has a stellar resume and has only had 1 10-8 round. That's not to say that ain't going to change. There's a very good chance Joshua could get chinned at some point, where not only he goes down, but could be out for the count. It could happen. It could happen to Wilder. It could happen to Tyson Fury. So if you really want to be picky about it, look at your own guy as well as. Okay, so anyway, this is all a bit of information for you. Some of you guys may not have known about some of this. So anyway, that's it for now. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.